Good evening. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio, Sinoland, Shenzhen, just south of the Tropic of Cancer. Got a short one, very interesting. Soros attacks Xi Jinping and China because they are free, democratic, and prosperous. And there's a picture. Pictured above, evil incarnate George Soros at Davos this week. He has financed many imperial color revolutions and identity politic wars that have killed and destroyed the lives of millions of innocent world citizens. Here we go. Color revolution and society destroying identity politic billionaire king George Soros attended the global elites Color Revolution and Identity Politic Confab at Davos, Switzerland, the World Economic Forum, abbreviated WEF, this week. Presenting the dying, wounded imperial beast, he lashed out at Chinese President Xi Jinping and his citizens. Soros is a real piece of propaganda work. He is reviled by social conservatives because he uses his fortune to stir up identity politics like homosexuality, gun control, transsexuals in the military, while unleashing waves of immigrants into Europe ad nauseum, keep the increasingly poor and oppressed 99% at each other's throats, so that they won't catch on that they are being sodomized by these very same Davos class elites. Soros is also a rabid, foaming at the mouth, communism, socialism hater. His Orwellian named Open Society Foundations and other CIA-fronted, in quotes, end of quotes, governmental organizations, also the abbreviation is NGOs, he has caused the death, injury, and destruction of way of life for millions of humanity's citizens. He is also a seething Russia, China, Iran, Venezuela hater, and for good reason. These countries are rich, socialist, and their citizens benefit directly from their own human and natural resources, not being exploited and stolen by Wall Street and the Western Fortune 500. Their economic independence, geopolitical freedom, and national prosperity all put a huge bullseye on their backs, and each and every one of them, Soros is on the color revolution front line, spending his billions to destroy them. You have to hand it to him. Soros is a neoliberal, neoconservative, neo-fascist who has most of the world thinking he is some ultra-liberal do-gooder. Now, that's what you call brilliant propaganda. Ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. And I just found a wonderful photograph of that very same thing. Pictured above is George Soros when it's the full moon. Luckily for the genocidal capitalist billionaire set at Davos this week, that was not the case. Otherwise, it's a hideous sight. Nothing worse than confronting a woolly, psychopathic quadruped, flashing its fangs and bleeding. Bah! Thus, his ad hominem attack at Davos on President Xi Jinping, an insulting smear of Chinese democracy, are not at all surprising. Soros lashed out at China's, quote, one-party, end of quote, system of governance. China has a greater share of its legislatures State Council controlled by competing non-CPC, meaning the Communist Party of China, parties than most Western, in quotes, democracies, not to mention that every Western country is in reality a one-party capitalist state anyway, controlled by socioeconomic identity politic left and right wings. If you don't believe me about China's system, read the China trilogy. It is all explained in simple, fascinating detail. Soros also lunged at China's social credit system, abbreviated SCS, its use of big data and artificial intelligence, abbreviated AI. This, even though every Chinese citizen has had and continues to have the chance to critique and amend laws about these entities, they fully want and support the SCS. something I've written clearly and factually about on China Rising Radio Sinoland. Never mind NATO's tens of unaccountable, black hole spy and surveillance agencies which don't even hide the fact they are vacuuming every scrap of data possible of every human being on Earth that they can access. Need I mention the rip-off privatized credit scoring companies? Again, the West is the best at psychological deflection/reflection, attacking its enemies for the exact same things it is doing, whether it's true or not. But at the dinner table and water cooler, brainwashed citizens talk all about the supposedly horrible acts China, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela are committing, not about the reality of what their truly evil genocidal governments are in fact perpetrating at home and around the world, costing millions of lives a year. The capitalist empire and its centurions are getting more and more desperate by the day. The 99% in China, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela are free, democratic, and prosperous in spite of billions of dollars and euros they, including George Soros and his blood-soaked, fanged ilk, spend every year to destroy these economies and their ways of life. Finished are the days of the West colonial raping and plundering these great nations, their proud independent peoples. Even viciously attacked and endlessly subverted, blockaded, sanctioned Venezuela is managing to keep standing tall, fists and guns raised, screaming with pride, hashtag we are Maduro, and hashtag Yankee go home. Give those Western capitalist bastards hell, Chavistas. Venceremos! This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland, signing out from Shenzhen. Have a wonderful week.